Hi, everybody. Today that we're going to be talking about, is it grief or is it a ghost? And the reason I'm doing this episode is because so many of you ask me if you're just grieving and feeling things around you and interpreting things as signs and symbols. And you want to know the difference between that and if it's a real visit from a loved one. So today I have in store for you, we're going to be talking about signs that you're just grieving, signs that you're being visited by a loved one in spirit, as well as warning signs in case you're being visited by a ghost or an entity. So you'll be able to more easily determine what kind of experiences you're having. We're also going to be doing a very short, I call it a mini meditation to open your own channel for connecting with your loved ones in spirit, as well as a protection technique. So welcome aboard. I'm going to make sure that the chat is on, and it is. Hi, Lydia. Thank you for joining. Hi there. Okay, good. Chat's working. Everything's working. All right, except for the air. It's on or off. It's hit or miss. Okay, so forgive the sweating. Anyway, I would like to start this with a short story that I want to share from my personal experience with a ladybug that I experienced when my best friend died. So he died very unexpectedly, and many of his friends gathered at his house because we literally were in shock and we didn't know where else to go. So we all went there to support one another and kind of figure out what's the next step. When I was leaving that gathering, I specifically remember a little ladybug buzzing around my head, landing on me, and I had to kind of fleck it off. And then it landed inside my car door. And again, I had to remove it before shutting the door and going home. So that was pretty actively on my mind. Well, that night, the first night when I went to sleep, I felt some little tickles on my face. And my mind naturally went to the ladybug. So I sat up partially out of bed and checked my sheets and checked my pillow and made sure nothing was crawling on me. And that's when I saw him standing in the bedroom of my doorway. And he said, "Hello, Diana." So that's how you may be visited by your loved one. They do like to get your attention when you're sleeping because that's when your brain is in the theta state and you're more prone to be able to see them when they're visiting. It's the times between sleep. So when you're falling asleep and also again when you're waking up, that your brain is in theta and you're more receptive to the spirit world. So for me, that was an authentic spirit visitation. And I want to make sure that you know the difference between your grief, the way that your mind can kind of play tricks on you, and also what it's like when your loved one really does show up and wants to connect and communicate with you. So we're going to break in first into a few things here. Now, if you are, I'll give you the top 5 signs that a loved one in spirit is visiting you. That would be spirit dreams, which tend to be vivid, peaceful, and contain clear messages or conversation. Give me a mark in the chat room if you have experienced this because they stay with you. I have spirit visitation dreams that I can remember from well over 20 years ago. They do not fade like a normal dream. So that would be a really valuable afterlife connection. If you've met with your loved one in a dream, saw your loved one in a dream, heard them say something, or you just glanced them in a natural setting as if they were still living. Those are all dream visits. And like I said, they're very clear and you will remember them. Even if you don't remember the whole entire message, you never forget those dreams. So let me know if you've had those. Okay, the second thing would be hearing your name or messages in dreams. So just like my loved one was standing in the doorway and he said, "Hello, Diana." Now, I thought that was a little strange because in life he would have been like, "Hi, Di," and just been really, exuberant. But he was in spirit. And so he's like, "Hello, Diana." I thought that was really sweet and a little bit more heartfelt. But you will hear your name. They want to call your name. They want you to hear that they're trying to reach you. So if you've ever heard your name being called, it could be audible, like mine was, outside of your head, that means, and it could be internal. It could even be, let's say you're in a room with full of people and you hear somebody say your name, expressing it that way. Sometimes that's spirit talking through another person. So pay attention to hearing your name being called. The third thing is lights and electronics flickering around significant dates. Now, this wouldn't just be random, although there's an increase of activity shortly after your loved one passes. But if it's been a year, 2 years, or longer, the lights flickering will indicate that they're around you, but specific to them passing. So it could be their birthday, their death day, an anniversary that they had, or other significant date that you'll be able to recognize them by. The fourth one is sensing a presence during deep emotional moments. So let's say time has moved on, you lost somebody 10 years ago, and you're going through something in the family, birth of a baby, or you're getting remarried. Something has you in a heightened state of emotion. It could be good or bad. And all of a sudden you just feel a presence. That's them standing beside you and letting you know that they're with you. The fifth one is physical symbols, coins, feathers, animals showing up repeatedly. And I have a client that is always sending me his pennies from heaven. So remarkable. His loved one always is around him and giving him so many pennies from heaven. And just recently, he's been sending him other things too. And I'm just delighted whenever I get those messages, because it's a healing, and it's wonderful to be able to share your afterlife visits with people that you care about. So, okay, so now we're going to talk about what's the difference? What's the difference between just grief and a spirit visit? Okay, now if it's normal grief, some of the things that you might be experiencing is like a memory or flashback, suddenly seeing or hearing your loved one in your mind only, not audibly and not through somebody else, but just in your mind, like you're replaying a memory or projecting yourself into the future and kind of feeling your way into a future conversation that you wish you had. If it's all inside your mind, that's normal grief. That's not a spirit visit. It's one of the ways that the brain processes loss. So that's entirely normal. The second one is psychosomatic sensations, which means you may feel phantom touches, warmth, or heart flutters due to emotional stress or nervous system overload, not always a spiritual presence. So the difference would be, just having increased anxiety because you're grieving. Your body is going to be going through many changes. You might have increased heart rate. You might have shallow breaths, which most of the bereaved do. Very shallow breathing, and even being stuck in a state of fight or flight. Your adrenals are being overworked. You're not sleeping. There's a lot of things that your physical body goes through. Sometimes you can interpret that as a loved one visiting. But when your loved one does visit you, it will be heartwarming, heart expanding. And I always like to teach people this real simple technique. Rub your hands together like this. And then when you feel the energy right there, it's just a subtle resistance, kind of tingly, a little bit warm. If you're doing that with me right now, you'll feel it. That is basically how spirit feels when they touch you. It's just like that, because they're approaching you from being in a spiritual body, not a physical body. So you'll feel that type of energy. Now, I remember one time my little sister came to visit me, and I was laughing about something, and she always loved my giggle. And she came real close to me, and it felt like dragonfly wings buzzing on my cheek. It was really subtle, but really noticeable. And I immediately knew that was her. She just likes to swoop in when I'm giggling, because she wasn't such a giggler. She was a little more serious than I am. So pay attention to things like that to determine if it's just grief or a loved one visiting. Okay, the third one is that your dreams may feel jumbled. That grief dreams are often very emotional and turbulent. And it might be your mind's way of kind of unraveling your connection to your loved one that just passed. Whereas an afterlife visit dream is when they will approach you and have a two-way conversation or say something meaningful to you that helps you forgive them or know that they love you. So those are going to have more clarity. A grief dream is going to be more turbulent, unresolved emotions. You might interpret that they're not at peace. Things like that that are just disturbing or jumbled or confusing, that may just be a grief dream. The fourth one is hyper awareness of triggers, where you suddenly notice their favorite song or it seemed to smell them everywhere. It may be your subconscious seeking connection that's not always spirit initiated. Now that would be, somebody that really longs to reconnect and they're kind of pushing it and they're trying to place themselves in environments where they may have similar smells or experiences to feel like they're having a spirit interaction. But I'm telling you, when you have an actual spirit interaction, you'll smell them in the strangest places. Up on the top of a mountain, you're suddenly going to smell their cologne. It won't be going through a cologne store or other people or friends that wear the same cologne. Those will just be like triggers for memory. When you're out in nature or you're somewhere completely different where you would never anticipate having these kind of things occur, and then it does spontaneously, be assured that those are real spirit visits. The fifth one, where it's just grief, is wanting so badly to feel them near you. Your mind might fill in the space, the signs. Early in grief, when your emotions are raw and you're in fight or flight, your body is responding to the trauma of loss. Um, your mind might try to fill in the gap and might try to look for meaning where there isn't any. So remember, spirit contact is often unexpected and absolutely not forced. So it's kind of like trusting and allowing it to come to you rather than directly trying so hard or trying to push or force a spirit contact. Lydia says, absolutely, they look radiant. Yes, I know when they visit. It's wonderful because the presence that they bring. They're beautiful, they're peaceful, they're full of light. Okay, so now we're going to talk about 5 warning signs. If you're experiencing things around you and you're like, okay, this really does feel like a spirit visit, but I'm not sure it's my loved one. This will help you determine if it's a ghost or an entity rather than the specific loved one that you want to connect with. The first one is feeling drained, depressed, or heavy after contact. Spirit visitations from loved ones often feel comforting, peaceful, or emotionally validating, whereas dark entities leave you feeling depleted, anxious, or emotionally unstable afterwards. So really tune into your feelings. Whenever I've had spontaneous visits, like I'll be driving my car, listening to music, and yeah, sometimes a song will just pop on, or I'll feel an energy beside me or right up with me as I'm driving. And it's like all at once, my eyes start to tear and my heart feels like it's just gotten bigger. That would be really good indication it's your loved one. If you're driving and you're starting to feel a weird or creepy presence or like you're being watched, that's most likely an entity or ghost. The second one, that it may be an entity or ghost, is that it all of a sudden feels cold, menacing, or unfamiliar. Now, your loved ones, they have a specific signature, just like a thumbprint, okay? The energy that your loved one has, you'll be able to recognize them by their energy. And I like to teach this real short exercise by having you close your eyes and having your friend or a loved one walk into the room and sense their energy. When eventually that person dies, their spirit will feel the same way. It's a signature, it's unique. When you're feeling the presence of something around you, that feels really unfamiliar, that's usually why you get the spidey sense and you feel kind of creeped out by it. That means it's most likely a ghost or an entity, somebody that your body, your energy does not recognize. So that's a really, really good one to pay attention to. Um, the third one, it happens at 3 a.m. or disrupts your sleep aggressively. Hauntings or entity activities usually occurs during spiritual attack hours, such as 3 a.m. There could be jolting awake, nightmares, or even sleep paralysis. Those will be associated with ghosts or entities. The fourth one is the entity mimics or impersonates your loved one. Well, as if it wasn't confusing enough, right? Yes, they can mimic, and we talked about this before, and that's why people are always take a lot of precaution around spirit activity and mediumship, which is why protection is so important, and we are going to do some protection for you today. So you might hear your loved one's voice, but it doesn't really sound like them. It might be a trickster spirit. You'll know the difference because you may feel guilt or fear around it, or the projection of their message may have fear or guilt in it. So anything that's lower vibrational like that, just put a big old X through, and that's not your loved one. Okay. The fifth one is physical disturbances begin to escalate. There could be items thrown, believe it or not, that's very common. Big physical items, things coming off the wall, dark shadows moving, unexplained scratching or knocking. This is not typical of visits from deceased loved ones unless they need help crossing over. Now, if your loved one has passed under tragic circumstances and they do need help crossing over, they will try to get your attention in the 2 weeks after they pass. That would be more likely for them to be knocking on things to try to, rattle, get your attention because they're like, hey, I'm still here, and so the 2 weeks after their passing, if there's disturbances, then that may be your loved one needing help crossing over. And you can learn how to do that through my Paranormal Rescue Medium course, or you can set up a private session and just make sure that they get into the right place. But if it's been longer, and they've been deceased longer than 2 weeks, and it's been a year or 2 years, and suddenly you start to have weird things, knocking and all the different sounds and disruptions, then it's really likely that you got a ghostly attachment at the grocery store, or an entity followed you home, or somebody in the home is doing drugs and there's an entity connected to the drugs. So that's a whole entirely different thing. Okay, so I think the most important thing is to ask if it evokes fear in you or love. That's a really good way to kind of interpret the signs that are happening around you and know exactly where they belong, who they belong to, rather. So let's go ahead and I'm going to tell you about a protective prayer and a mini cleansing ritual that you can do. And this is so easy. I'll probably write this down and put it in the description after this video goes live. But for right now, I'll go ahead and tell you what you need. It's very simple. A white candle, because that represents purity and divine light. A glass of water to absorb dense energy. And it's optional, but you can have incense or an essential oil that's high vibrational, like frankincense oil, lavender, or Palo Santo. And so what you'll do is light your candle, place it by the glass of water, stand or sit calmly in your space, take 3 deep breaths, and call your energy back to yourself. And then say this prayer out loud or silently. I like to say it out loud. I actually really feel like it's better to get your spoken word into the environment around you. It really anchors in the energy better. Okay, so the prayer. I now call in divine light and the highest vibrations of love, truth, and protection. If there is any spirit here that is not of love and light, you are not welcome. I release all fear, confusion, and sorrow that may have opened a door. I ask Archangel Michael, or you can insert somebody else in here, to shield the space and escort all lower entities to the light. Only my true loved ones in spirit and beings of the highest light may remain. So it is. Amen. So if you want to play this video back, you can also just, jot it down and keep it handy. It's a good prayer to say that will help clear a lot of things. If, for instance, you say that prayer and you still have activity, then please reach out and set up a private session with me, because that means you need deeper healing, more specific techniques that only a trained medium would have. Or you can actually then take my Paranormal Rescue Medium course, which will teach you those specific techniques. I have a lot of people that say, do I have to be a medium to take your Paranormal Rescue Medium course? And you do not. You can. I encourage all mediums to take that course, but actually people that don't even have mediumship can use the techniques that I teach in that course in order to cross over ghosts safely and effectively, and also to clear entities, even the most powerful ones. So if you're considering that, I invite you to check it out. Actually, I extended the date. I was doing a sale on it and somebody warned me that my link wasn't working on my YouTube video. So I do apologize if you're one of those people. So I decided to extend it for one more week. If you go to the link below this video, you go to my spiritual academy and you look up Paranormal Rescue Medium. If that class resonates with you and you want to be one of those people that knows how to clear ghosts and cross over anything that's not of the light, cross over demons, cross over ghosts, get rid of everything in your environment, whether for yourself or others. I am offering 20% off. The coupon code is PROTECT20. So that information will be below this video, and I'm extending it until the 12th. So that was my error and my way to fix it. Okay, so I am giving you some extra time for that, you guys. Oh, and Lydia, I had to remove the batteries from all of my smoke detectors as they constantly went off at night. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. And you know what? I've actually had, I don't know if you were associating that with a loved one, or if you were having other activity. I'm assuming it sounds like maybe more ghostly, but I was actually doing a mediumship reading for a client of mine. And as we were connecting to her loved one, the fire alarm started going off and she couldn't turn them off. So if you can imagine that loud beep, 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 while we're doing our session. So she was finally able to turn it off. And then she told me that the person we were connecting with actually had a job with the fire department or something like that. It was so neat. So that was a different case where they were like really just so excited that we were connecting and bringing him through. So you do interpret your dreams, or your signs and symbols, interpret them as they relate to you and what they evoke within you. Okay, so when we're done with the prayer, we're done with the white candle and the bowl of water. Go ahead and blow that candle out. Flush the water either down the toilet or pour it outside, but not right beside your house. Go to the outer part of your yard or where the tree line is or something, not right beside your house. You want to kind of move that energy. You can also spray or diffuse a little bit of essential oil, walk around your space with your incense and burn it to cleanse the area afterwards. If you like to use sage, you can use the sage at that time. Or you can clap. Believe it or not, clapping helps to move energy. You can even do it in every corner of your room, or you can use bells, tingsha bells, just to set a vibration. It just makes things scatter. So once you have done the ritual, then you can do those things to kind of close it down. Okay, so here is a tip for the bereaved. If you're grieving, say that prayer nightly for 7 days to reset your spiritual boundaries and ensure only true loved ones can connect with you. So now in this part, I'm going to give you a few things that can help you connect directly with your own loved one in spirit. Now that you have that clarity, I'm going to just kind of help you out with it. Oh, thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know. I like that prayer too. Okay, so here's a little mini meditation for opening to spirit visits. Before you start any spiritual practice or connect with spirit, take a moment to visualize a glowing protective bubble of white or golden light surrounding you. This bubble acts like a filter that lets only loving, high vibration energies in while keeping out anything heavy, confusing, or harmful. Imagine it as your personal spiritual shield that keeps your energy safe, but your heart open. You can refresh this bubble anytime you feel drained or overwhelmed. Just close your eyes, breathe deeply, and see it glowing brighter and brighter. This simple visualization helps you stay grounded, clear, and receptive to genuine spirit messages without fear or energetic exhaustion. So I love that one, the protective bubble. And, I first learned that one from one of my medium mentors, Alan Arcieri. He used to have us do a big protective bubble around us when we did mediumship scrying. And that was so that the space between us would fill with light and we could see our loved ones better. But anything outside the bubble was basically not allowed in our space. So that's a nice way to do it. The more advanced you get as a spiritual worker, whether you're a medium or a psychic or a healer, eventually you don't use the bubble, you just blast outwards. But when you're beginning, and if you want to set an intention for any meditations or setting a sacred space, I would definitely recommend using the bubble technique. So here is a very short mini meditation to open you to spirit visits from your loved one. So if you would like to do this with me right now, go ahead. Just sit comfortably and close your eyes, and I'll read this out loud to you. You can kind of follow along. Whew. Okay, nice deep breath. Let's begin by finding a comfortable seat and closing your eyes gently. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Again, inhale calmness and exhale tension. Inhale connection and exhale doubt. Now bring your awareness to your body. Feel your feet on the ground, rooted and steady. Imagine a warm light surrounding you. It's wrapping you in peace and protection. With each breath, feel your heart soften and your mind clear. Picture the light expanding just enough to invite your loved ones from the afterlife to come close with love, comfort, and clarity. Stay here for a few breaths, open and ready to receive their presence in whatever form that may be. And when you feel ready, gently bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. Now, that's how simple your connection process can be. It doesn't have to be, filled with a lot of steps. It can be that simple. In fact, you could listen to this one over and over if you'd like to, or even record your own and listen to it in your own voice. But just, it's about relaxing, setting your intention, shifting your energy, elevating the vibrations around you so that spirit can more easily be felt when they come near you. And that would be your loved ones coming near you. So, yeah, I love that. It's just very, very simple. So, let me know if that works for you. Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys, if you're watching this after the playback, it will also work. So, whenever you're ready, you can do that. So, I want to open up for any types of questions that you may have. Um, if you have any questions of things that you're experiencing, whether they are someone you love, whether it's a ghost or an entity, or just your grief, or if you'd like to share a different type of experience you've been having, I would love to hear it. So just let me know that in the chat room, and I will scroll. It looks like I might just be on with Lydia today, at least in the chat room. Last time I figured out, after I did the live episode, I had a ton of people reach out to me and said, oh, no, I listened to your video. I just didn't go in the chat room. You guys, that's totally okay too. Not everybody feels comfortable expressing themselves in the chat room. So I welcome you to join me whether or not you're in the chat room, okay? And if you do like to watch that way, be sure that you send me your stories or your questions in advance so I can actually address it with you. And I won't share your name if you don't want me to, okay? Okay. You did, Lydia? Oh, she says, beautiful meditation. I felt my fur baby. Oh, then I have Jen Riley. Hi, I'm here, but not sure what to ask for or share. Oh, that's okay. Thank you for joining. And I appreciate you popping in. That's always helpful. Jen, have you had any kind of spirit activity? Have you felt a loved one's presence or received signs and symbols? Okay, now I've got go forth and thrive. How long does it take for someone new at mediumship to connect with loved ones? Oh my gosh, anytime. It's our divine right. Every human, you don't have to be a medium to connect with a loved one. It's your divine right to learn the techniques to develop your energy at frequency and just be more receptive to the spirit world so that you can get afterlife signs. So sometimes I used to hear weird things like, oh, you can't contact a loved one until like a year after they pass. That's really not true. That's old school. They used to say that. It's not true whatsoever. In fact, I've connected with people as they're passing. I've connected with people in a coma. I've connected with them immediately after they're passing and 30 years after they're passing. It really doesn't matter. It just only, depends on maybe the techniques or the medium themselves or the person, the individual, just the know-how. So don't let anything like that limit you. If you want to connect with a loved one, it really doesn't matter. You can do it at any time. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. So Jen says all the time she's received signs, past life memories. Right now I live in a very haunted town and I'm a target. Oh my God, Jen. I talk about that. If you're not familiar with my books, I highly recommend you get some, probably Setting Spirits Free. So I grew up in a very old historic town. My daughter and I lived in one haunted house after the next. Um, and whenever I would date people and bring them to like even the library, he would get attachments and all of a sudden bring them home into my house. And I'm like, oh no, no. Nobody gets to stow away and come into my home as a spirit attachment, so I was constantly cleansing my house from people that would bring things in. So I feel you. So that's why it's really important for sensitive people, empathic people, and someone that spirits are really drawn to learn the techniques to be able to really clear your space. Setting Spirits Free would be the best book to learn it from. Otherwise, if you're really interested in really setting your spiritual space and being like a very, very good and very confident, then I would highly recommend my Paranormal Rescue Medium course. And again, that's the one that's 20% off until July 12th. So that I'll put that info below the video. And also, past life memories too. That could be very triggering because so many of us that have gifts and abilities experienced being killed for it in previous lifetimes. So sometimes there's a little fear about us leaning into our gift. So that's why I really am, I teach a lot about protection and spiritual discernment so you can navigate that well with clarity and confidence and really be able to go, fine tune it and direct it. So it's like, oh, if I want to cross over a ghost, I know exactly where I'm going to go and how I'm going to do it. If I want to invite loved ones in to visit, I know exactly where I go vibrationally and what my setup is going to be so that I can communicate with them. So it really gives you like laser focus on what technique or how to do it. So I highly recommend it. I just feel like when you have done this in a previous life, there's nothing more that you want to do, and you want to overcome the trauma of being killed for it so that you can do your work again. It feels wonderful to be reconnected. Okay. Oh, Lydia, thank you. She said you're so talented and lifted. I'm not sure if that means gifted. You should have hundreds on this chat. I'm going to be praying for you to reach many more people. Oh, thank you, Lydia. Well, I accept your prayers. Thank you. I know, and I never can tell if it's good timing for people. I just kind of, decided to go on and just see how well it goes at this particular time. Um, Jen says, I've done some passing over of earthbound spirits. Wonderful, Jen. That's powerful work, and it's so needed. It's so needed. And Jen also says, I just really realized recently how much of a target I am. Oh my gosh, yeah. You know, the thing is, I will tell you this, the more you do that work, now, if you're doing it, if you're protecting, you're crossing over ghosts and you're cleansing a space, and then you're disconnecting your energy from it, don't forget to do your spiritual cleansing on yourself so you're not leaving a haunted environment and bringing it home with you. It's really, really important because you don't want to get drained doing your work. Otherwise, you'll resist doing it. So make sure that you're taking all the steps necessary to really protect your spiritual energy. And that will help you just be much more empowered and stay safe and protected at all times. Um, okay, Go Forth and Thrive says, I hear answers to questions nearly immediately, but don't seem to be able to connect to a loved one who crossed over a few years ago. Okay, so Go Forth and Thrive. I would say, whenever I've had something like that, most of my loved ones, well, I have to preface this. At this point in my career and my development, I can just tune in with them immediately either way. However, if you're able to have some sort of communication with spirit and you're getting signs and symbols from other loved ones and not that specific loved one, they need a little extra help crossing over, because it's harder for them to deliver signs and symbols, and they can't spirit visit you if they're stuck at a location. So sometimes it indicates that they may be stuck, either at the place that they died or somewhere else. But if you know how to cross over, you can do it remotely, get them into the right vibration, get them into what we call heaven or the light, and then you'll be able to have spirit communication with them and receive signs and symbols. So again, that's going to be my book, Setting Spirits Free, will teach you how to do that, and also my paranormal rescue medium course. Personally, I check on all my loved ones. I check on my loved ones, like when they pass. It's part of my natural thing. And I don't even tell people, like loved ones. I just like immediately do my spiritual work, and I just make sure that everybody gets to the right place. So if there's more of us doing that, just imagine there won't be ghosts hanging out in haunted buildings. They'll all be in the light. So that would be pretty amazing. Okay. Dale Morris. Hi, everyone. Hi, Dale. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Lydia says, yes, it was gifted, not lifted. Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. Go Forth and Thrive. I was actually watching another video of yours and saw that you were live, so I hopped over here. Oh, wonderful. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do them on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. if this seems to be a good time for people. I'm just kind of winging it. I've done shows in the past where I've had them, always at the same time, and I do them until they kind of peter out, and then I just kind of move on to different things. But right now, I'm enjoying this, and I'm just super happy that you guys are able to join me here. So I'll let you know. I'll try to post it on Facebook, Instagram. But Wednesdays, I'm shooting for Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Okay. Jen says, yes, I've brought things home without realizing it. Oh, yeah, I bet. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Of course. And when you're like that, Jen, I had a husband before, ex-husband. So I had a husband at one time. Every time he left the house, he was bringing stuff home. And so he'd bring home all these energetic disturbances, but he was so empathic that he would literally wear it. Like we would see the spirits that were attached to him. So my daughter has the same giftings that I do. So we would turn and look at him when he walked in the door, and instead of seeing his face, we'd see the spirit's face that was kind of riding along with him. And we'd look at him and go, oh no, you get back outside and do your clearing work. Do not bring those into my house, because when we didn't catch it in time, weird things would happen, just like I was talking about. Pictures coming off the wall, all the shampoo bottles falling in the shower in the middle of the night, boom, lots of weird, chaotic energy. And we immediately knew attachment, so immediately, if you're having something like that feels unfamiliar and is not based on love and reaching out, then you're like, okay, ghost or entity. So I need to do that type of clearing and clear my space. Sometimes, the prayers, even that we covered today, that's real helpful if you memorize that or say something similar so that you're leaving it at the door and not letting it come into your home with you. Okay. Thank you, Dale. He says, hey, look forward to this every Wednesday night. Oh, I'm so happy, Dale. Thank you. Hey, you guys, and always feel free to send me questions. You can always send them directly to my email. I'm at dianapalm69@msn.com. If you want to email me stories that you want to share or questions ahead of time or show ideas, I'd be happy to answer your questions or direct my topics that way. Go Forth and Thrive says, I get pictures randomly pop up on Facebook out of the blue, and weird names of the town he died in show up on a movie I'm watching or other place that I'm at. But I feel like it's so easy for me to hear, oh, yes. Okay. That's good. That sounds like healthy connection and communication, letting you know, like, hey, you're on my mind. I'm thinking about you. And it's easy for them to use things in our environment to let us know that they want to connect, but really they're already connected. They just want to let you know they're there. Right. So that's great. I'm glad you can do that easy. Okay. Other things, but not from him like I would want to. Okay. Yeah, and sometimes we have someone in spirit that really teaches us. So my loved one that I talked about earlier with the ladybug, he has decided, since actually before he died, the year before he died, it was really interesting because his lifestyle did not include ghosts or spirits at all. But the year before he died, he would call me every Monday night when the medium was on TV. Every single commercial break, he'd call me and go, is that true? Can you really do that? Can spirits really communicate? Can spirits really do this or that? And I'd be like, yes, yeah. So he was literally studying how he was going to communicate after he died. So of course, in retrospect, it was easy. Like he knew it was coming, but he on a conscious level did not know. So he's been really good at coming through in so many ways and teaching me so many different things about the afterlife. So you may have a loved one that's really decided to like stay very close to you as a sort of guardian and a mediumship teacher. Well, they'll teach you so much about the afterlife. And then your other loved ones are all kind of over here. They're like, they're there and they love you, but they're not up front and center or so active like this particular one is. That's totally normal too. Okay. Go forth and thrive. Okay, Dale. Oh, I've been getting knocks on my door and nobody's there. Interesting. Dale, what do you think it is? Do you feel like it's a loved one or do you feel like it's some random ghost? We should help you discern that today so that you feel more comfortable about that. Um, and also if it's surrounding anything significant. So I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but kind of just talking about that. And you can always replay this, Dale, and find out like specific things that trigger you, like this is a loved one, this is my grief, or this is an entity or ghost. There's some slight differences there that will help you discern that a little better. Um, Jen Riley says, "Oh my gosh, I want to be able to see again. I miss my spiritual vision." Oh, well, how did you lose it? I have worked with people that have gone through slumps and gone like they've lost it. Um, you know what, Jen? I have another course in my spiritual academy you might want to take a look at. It's called Mediumship Scrying, and it teaches you how to see spiritually. So if you're somebody that has had spiritual vision and lost it, many times it could be, let's say, a trauma. It could be your vibration has gotten off for some reason. Sometimes people, like, let's say they have a lot of loss, like they went through a divorce, or they had some other sorts of losses in their life. They could still be feeling so much loss that it included the loss of their spiritual gifts. So I like to help people like reclaim it. And doing the mediumship scrying teaches you how to let the veil drop so that you can see spiritually. And I've had people do that, learn the technique in this way. And I learned this from my mentor also, Alan Arcieri, who's also in spirit now, but he taught me this many years ago. And that technique alone helped me to be able to walk into a haunted environment and see spirits with my physical eyes. So I was seeing them before, but randomly. And if you have spiritual sight and you've bumped into a ghost in the middle of the night, that can be scary. But if you learn how to develop your vision more consistently, then you're never scared because you can turn it on and off. So that's a really helpful tool, and that may help you reestablish your connection and also your physical eyes being able to see spirit. So you might want to check that one out. That's mediumship scrying, and that's in my academy. Okay. You're welcome, Dale. Okay, and Lydia says, I live in a house with a small lake in my backyard and a cemetery on the other side of the lake. I often wonder if I attract some spirits because I often see many faces at night. Oh my goodness, Lydia. Yes. So you guys, if you are living next to a cemetery, woo, yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to flat out. I mean, I connected with you as I was reading that, but also a general response would be yes. Absolutely. You definitely want to do some shielding and protection around your house from spirits that wander and linger. And you want to do regular spiritual cleansings. So cemeteries are sacred, right? They're like sacred burial grounds, but those areas are very active. Even churches, remember how they used to build the little churches? Like, I don't know if they called them a different name than a church. I think there was a different name that they had if they included a cemetery on the grounds. Anyway, whenever you're going through the country, especially Minnesota and Wisconsin, where they have tons of tiny little churches with the cemetery right beside it, very active, very, very active. So I lived in, one of the houses I lived in Bayport, Minnesota, that was right next to a cemetery. And that house was so active. So yeah. And I lived on a house, believe it or not, in Stillwater, Minnesota, on the North Hill, a big old Victorian house that was built on top of a potter's cemetery. They never moved the bodies. They built it on it, just like in the movie Poltergeist. That house was so active. So yeah, anytime you're having stuff like that, you need to do lots of shielding, clear, crossing over. You don't want to just shield, really. You want to cross over all those spirits that are wandering that are trapped because they cannot get to the light alone. They need somebody that has the technique and the skill to be able to really cross them over and open up that portal and get them into the light. That way they don't have to wander on the earth plane anymore. And you'll also protect your house by doing that. Short term, put up your protection really well. But the goal should be to cross them all over so that they're not even around to come in. So do both of those, but start with the protection. Don't let them wander in. Oh my goodness. Dale says, my grandmother used to hear knocks before someone would die. It went without fail. Wow. Okay. So Dale, if your grandmother had that, then you'll have to tune in with yourself, and you can also muscle test this. I encourage you to muscle test it. You can just stand up with your feet shoulder width apart and say, yes, yes, yes. You'll go forward, and then say, no, no, no. And you should feel your body slightly move backward. And after you've tested the right way, you can actually state out loud, I have the same gift my grandmother did. And if your body moves forward, then that would indicate that you've inherited the same gift or the same knowing that somebody in spirit is working with you to give you a pre-warning that somebody is going to pass. So you can actually even ask that. My grandmother was being warned by a spirit guide. My grandmother was being warned by an ancestor spirit. My grandma was being warned about somebody's passing. You can ask those specific questions and actually muscle test yes and no, and then see if you have inherited it. It's so normal for us to inherit these susceptibilities from our lineage. So if somebody had spiritual gifts or they were a medium, that's why you often hear fourth generation healer, fourth generation medium, because somebody in the family line did the work and the rest of the family got to inherit it. They didn't have to develop it and do all the work in classes themselves. So yeah, we inherit all of our gifts that way, and they can also be developed. Don't get me wrong. If you're starting from scratch, you can develop them. But if you're lucky enough to inherit them, then you don't have to do all the work first. So, but figure out if that's the same thing, Dale. I'd be real curious about that. And then also see if you can discern, like I often tell people this. When you have a premonition or a knowing that someone's going to pass, this is my personal belief from doing this work for my lifetime, over 30 years, right? So if it's something that can be avoided, like if I get the knowledge, I can tell somebody to take a different train or a different ride to work, I will. But if I just get the notice that they're dying soon, I don't warn them and put the whole family in fear. I just know that I need to hold space for them and check on their spirit once they've gone, and also check on their loved ones to make sure I can be helpful if they need assistance in any way. So sometimes the knowing, it's a spiritual heads up, but it's not meant to be that you need to intervene or stop it. It's you sensing the death door. And if you sensing the death door comes through a spirit or a spiritual guide or even an angel that's alerting you, that would be nice to know too. Okay. Okay, so Jen says trauma. I'll look for that class. Yeah, good. So you had trauma that may have blocked it. I'm also low energy now. Okay, Jen. Yeah, you know what, honey? If you have a bathtub, I would recommend like taking a spiritual bath. And I have videos on it. You can put all kinds of stuff in there. But the simplest way is using like sea salt or baking soda or a combination of both. That will actually really clear your aura and help you vibrate higher. It's almost like washing vegetables in vinegar, how it gets more of the pesticides off and they shine better. They have more life force afterwards. You can do things like that for your physical body when you're feeling kind of clogged up energetically. So take a spiritual bath and see if that rebalances you right away. Okay. Lydia. Oh, crap. Oh, you're so funny. Yeah, so many things make sense now, right? I get you. Okay, Dale says, sounds like what happened in the original Poltergeist. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that house was so active. And Dale says, yes, my mother had it happen to her too. Oh, wow. And your sister's very psychic. Okay, yeah. That's what I was feeling with you. It's like a genetic lineage. Um, Interesting. That's really cool, Dale. So now the fun part will be seeing what you want to do with it and seeing how you want to use your gifts. There's so much, sometimes we inherit one part of it, but we don't even know how much more we can open up by just leaning into it or learning some new techniques or having a natural curiosity for like, well, what else is possible? What else can I receive heads up about? What else can I get help with? Or what other skills can I develop with myself to like kind of, I like to say like blossom. It's like a flower blossom when you open up all those petals to all aspects of your mediumship and all aspects of your spirit contact. It's pretty remarkable what we can actually learn in a short amount of time. Dale says, I don't think I can ever be a medium though. I've always been an extra large. Good one. Oh, you guys are funny. Okay. If anybody has a question or comment, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and close it down. We've just got a couple minutes left here. I've been going over every time. I'm going to try to stick within the hour. I could talk to you guys all night. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I have in here. Okay. Well, just remember, I'd like to just remind you guys this, that grief opens us to spirit. Okay. But there are signs that confirm it's real. So, and what I mean by that, grief is a soul opening experience. It's often the heartbreak itself, the missing and the longing itself that creates the opening to the spirit world that attunes us to those vibrations and frequencies that helps us really decide that we don't want to lose contact. And not only that, but how uplifting it is to receive the afterlife signs and symbols and to receive ongoing communication or connection with our loved ones. So I've always used my own heartbreak and loss as a growth tool. And it really planted the seeds inside of myself to develop my natural mediumship. I was like Dale, I had genetic gifts that I inherited. But I also took classes and read books and developed. And it's been such an extraordinary journey. I love it. And I would never see my life any other way, really. I'd rather live on the magic side. And I'm also very thrilled to be able to use skills and abilities that many people don't ever take the time to develop. It's really fun for me. I love being able to be of service to spirit and also to the living. So it's all good, you guys, however you decide to use it. But just know that grief is you know, that's the catalyst. I always say it's the catalyst, it's the gift, because you healing the grief is what actually puts you onto a spiritual journey that deepens your faith and deepens your own spirituality as you go through that healing process. So yeah, and if you guys, if you are in that space or if you're watching this later and you're like, what is she talking about? A soul opening experience through grief. Check out my Grief Ease app. I have 9 spiritual lessons that are spiritual that help you through that to heal spiritually. It's the things that the bereaved have that aren't addressed in traditional therapy. It's things that I've learned from working with spirit all these years. And there's a whole big free lesson. So you get a whole bunch of freebies first before you decide if you even want to invest in the app for the other lessons. So I'll put all that. It'll all be below. Okay, you guys. You guys crack me up. Thank you, Dale. He says, always good to see your live chats. Well, I'm so glad that you tuned in. Thank you for joining us. Jen says, thank you, Diana. Laura or Lydia says, thank you so much. You guys, thank you. I so much appreciate you. Uh, yeah. So Dale says, grief is the price you pay for love, but spiritualism got me through each and every loss. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, she. Dale is a she. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, you're right. And that was your soul opening experience, right? And leaning into spiritualism was like, oh, there's tools. The majority of the mediums that I know that are in spiritualism, they learned, they developed, they weren't just gifted their abilities. So I love it that spiritualism exists to teach people so many practical tools and developmental skills to really hone in with their mediumship. So that's awesome. Dale says it happens all the time. No worries. Dale, I will remember that next time. So I apologize for calling you a he. Okay. And I'll get that right. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate you being here. And if you're available next Wednesday, same time, same place, I'll look forward to seeing you again. All right. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.